Welcome to Two Fuse Wrestling, a fantasy booking edition episode. We got a really hot one for you right now. It's obviously doesn't get hotter than Dom and Rhea Ripley. I mean, the most wanted man on TikTok. So we're gonna fantasy book how we book the breakup of Judgment Day. But first, I do want to say, how excited are you for Ray and Dom at WrestleMania, since that's gonna happen and you've been wanting that
Yeah,
for a while?
I think I've been telling you since the moment Dom came on the scene that it had to end with him holding Ray's mask up, standing over Rey Mysterio, and it looks like that might be where they're going. But I also told you that for that entrance, him and Ray one on one, I want him to back up the police van. I want him to pull him out on a dolly, strapped up like Hannibal Lecter, like he's this dangerous criminal. That would probably be like one of the most epic WrestleMania entrances ever.
Dude, yeah, that would solidify Dom as just the
Like
man.
what they did with Wardlow, where he came out, he had all those cops, and he was chained up. Do the same thing for like 180-pound Dominic with that teardrop tattoo.
It makes more sense for Dominic. He actually is.
Oh yeah,
badass.
he's actually done time.
Yeah. So all right, but with that in mind, how do you book the breakup of Judgment Day?
Well, I focus it all on Dom. So coming off of the have him retire Ray, take the mask, not wear the mask, maybe come out in the mask sometimes, but carry it around. I would have him win Money in the Bank, and then I would have him get his title match. He cashes in. Say it's on Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has got both belts. He cashes in on Cody Rhodes, but the Judgment Day interferes, and it backfires, and it costs Dominic, and he loses the match. So then the next night you could have him cut a promo on Balor and Priest and just say all the like prison lingo, like how they would get shanked in the yard, they'd be losing all their commissary, all this stuff, like how they're not hard like he is and everything like that. So he's gonna leave. He's leaving Judgment Day, and then maybe he gets like halfway out of the ring or on the ramp, and he kind of stops and looks over his shoulder, and he's like, "Are you coming, mommy?" And then I would have Rhea go with him, and I'm pretty sure still to this day in storyline, Eddie Guerrero is Dominic's dad. Ray just won custody of him in that ladder match, but his blood's Eddie Guerrero. And I'm a huge Eddie Guerrero fan, so I think this would be a cool way to kind of pay a little tribute to Eddie. If you had Dominic and Rhea kind of play up the Latino Heat Mamacita dynamic that Eddie had with Chyna, and maybe Dominic can get like one of the mid card titles for a little bit, and then if you wanted to wrap up the whole Judgment Day, you could have a triple threat with him, Balor, and Priest for that mid-card title, kind of to bring it all full circle.
Now, when you have him leaving with Rhea and doing the Chyna and Eddie thing, are they face?
I think they'd still be heel, but I think it'd be one of them deals where like Eddie and Chyna were heel, but eventually it got over,
And the crowd started cheering.
Yeah,
for
and
him.
I think it would still get over.
Okay. Before I get to how I would book the end of Judgment Day, I also want to talk about Damian Priest's badass. And back in the day, reading the forums of wrestling, I would always hear about a Ring of Honor guy called Punishment Martinez. Never looked him up, but the whole time that name, I'm like, oh, this dude has to be it. I'm like, he has to have something. Then I finally see him in WWE under Damian Priest, and I'm like, there it is, dude. Like,
Yeah.
the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what name he's under, he's gonna be a stud. And I'm glad that I got to see him, and it's just like, it's so random how some people like that. I see Punishment Martinez, I'm like, well, if that's his name, this dude has to be badass.
Yeah,
And I finally see him,
already.
and he's badass.
Yeah.
I'm like, it works. But for me, how I would book it is I'm going that Brazzers route, I'm going that Mae Young Mark Henry route, and I'm having Rhea is cheating on Dominic with Damian Priest or Finn, doesn't really matter. But I want to break up Judgment Day to the point where Dom gets that huge babyface push.
Yeah.
I know it might be hard, but I think with this aspect of Rhea cheating on him, it's going to make you feel sympathetic for him because his whole storyline with Judgment Day is what really is getting him over is this jail gimmick. So we all laugh about it, and then whenever we find out his girlfriend's been cheating on him, that's going to relate the audience to, they're like, oh, we've been there, we've tried to impress a girl, and then she does us bogus, and that's going to get the crowd behind him. And I think Dom is a stud, and I think he's someone that could be the face of your company. And that is how I would get that babyface push for him.
Yeah, I think we've talked about before about Dominic. Like you can see you could see right away there was something there, and then once he turned heel, and then the jail thing, like put it over the top, and just to show you like where he's at right now, how good he is, and how much heat he's getting at Elimination Chamber. You had Beth Phoenix and Edge on one side and Balor and Rhea Ripley on the other, 4 big stars, and that crowd was all over Dominic Mysterio.
Dominic is
they're hating him right now.
After they finish Dominic's storyline with Judgment Day, they need to find out how it worked and get that to Theory, because Theory's another guy that you're like, hey, he has something.
Yeah.
You just got to finish this character out so he can get that final push to where it's like, okay, now we got this guy as a star as well.
I can't wait to see Dominic show up at Ray's house on St. Patrick's Day. I don't know when Easter is, but I want to see, I want every holiday.
Someone online was talking about it after the Valentine's Day video that Dominic's sister's birthday's coming up. They're like, are we going to get a video of that too?
There you go.
They're like, yeah, just Dominic just always showing up at the house and putting the punches to Ray.
It's a good heel tactic, and it's just giving him more hate. And then if he retires Ray at WrestleMania, the heat level is going to be like a Roddy Piper level heat. They're going to hate him that next night on Raw. Give him that Roman Reigns moment when Roman beat The Undertaker and he just stood there and let the crowd did all the work. I want that for Dominic.
Dude, and if they do that, that's going to give them their heel, because I know Roman's their main heel, but like he's that cool heel where Dominic is getting that reaction.
Yeah, he's your piece of shit heel.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because they wanted him to be the baby face, but like, dude, this heel run is awesome.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. Once the jail thing happened, I was like, this is it. Like everyone's talking about the bloodline and Sammy, and Dominic's like flying under the radar, and it's been great so far.
And then his dad being a guy that was a constant baby face.
Yeah,
it makes it work
ultimate
even more.
Underdog baby face.
Yeah.
Getting stomped out by his jail son who was in jail for like a day and a half. So
it also works with the recent nepotism that people talk about in Hollywood, like, oh, your parents were rich, so they just carried on. And then like Dominic is just spitting in his dad's face like, fuck you didn't do enough, dude.
You didn't do anything for me. Well, like I said, in storyline, Eddie Guerrero is Dominic's father.
All right. So in the comments, let us know how you would fantasy book the end of Judgment Day.